All right, we're going to look at grouping our results now. So first, let's take a look at a different table. Select. We're going to look at the sales territory table. Sales dot territory. Take a look at it, and you can see the different territories. We may have looked at this table before. We have 10 different territories for this company, which is Microsoft. We have a Northwest territory, Northeast territory, Central, Southwest, Southeast. Then we have Canada, France, Germany, Australia, and United Kingdom. Let's get, we'll work with the country region code. And let's look at sales year to date. Comma. So this is the sales for each of the different regions. ITD stands for year to date. So the sales so far this year for each of the regions. And we can see those US. Now, the thing is, we have more than one region in the US. When we looked at that before, we saw all the different regions. Let's see if I can put that back in here. Let's go down in here and look. We're at sales. That sales territory. We had a column. It was just name. So let's look at the name. Okay, so those were the names of the territories, but obviously Southwest, Southeast, Central, Northeast, Northwest are all in the US. Let's do where clause. Let's only look at places where sales year to date are greater than $4 million. Or that's with 6 zeros. Okay, now we've reduced it down. The Southwest region, the Southwest and the Northwest region of the U.S. both had sales greater than 4 million. Canada, France, Australia, United Kingdom each had those. I really don't want my U.S. separated though. Okay, so I want to group these by their region code. So what I can do is create a group by clause, and we can group it by country region code. Now I'm going to take out the name. I'm going to execute this, and you're going to get an error. And I want you to see this error first, because this is a common problem that people have when we do these. The column sales year to date is invalid in the select list. So this column right here, our sales year to date, is because it is not contained in an aggregate function or the group by clause. So what this is saying is that everything up here, when we do group by, it means we're going to do some kind of aggregate function. How do we want to combine these sales figures in order to do this? We can't have a single column that's not an aggregate, or it has to be something that's in the group by. So country region code is in the group by, so it's okay. Sales year to date, let's do sum. So since there was 2 areas of the US, we have to tell it how we want to combine those. In this case, we're going to sum them. Let's add up. And then let's execute this again. And now we can see it. There's the US, and there is the total of all the US territories. So we grouped it by this region code, country region code. Okay? But we had to tell it how to combine this column in order to group it into one row. Okay? So the rule is only aggregate when you do group by, you're grouping aggregate functions. Okay? And anything that's not an aggregate function, like country region code, has to be part of the group by. Okay? If it's not, you will get that error that we saw when we started out. So this is only the territories that had $4 million or more in year-to-date sales, because we filtered out those rows, and then it grouped them together. So it grouped those two regions that had over $4 million. It added them up. All right, let's do it a little differently. So where clause works before we actually do the grouping. So we filtered out those rows. We filtered out the rows with less than $4 million in sales before we grouped them by the country code and added them together. So what if you want to filter out things that are grouped? There's a separate clause for that, and that's called the having clause. I like to think of the having clause as the where clause for things that are grouped together. So group by and having often go together. We group them together and we say having, and that's where we can put another condition. Let's do, I'm going to run it without that first. So 6.7, so let's do having some of their sales year to date greater than 6 million. Put 60 million. Didn't execute this, and there we go. So these are only, so I filtered out, here's without. I can see all these. Right here, Canada and US both have more than $6 million. So when I use having, I can filter out the grouped rows and only get the ones I want to see. So where operates on individual rows of tables, having operates on the aggregated data. So since we were summing these things together, we tested the sum to see if it was greater than 6 million and figured out any of the groups. So this filtered out the rows, this filtered out the groups. So group by and having often go together.